In the last of our reflections on the 7 last words from the cross, I want to address the 2 last words, those of triumph and reunion. Although Jesus' 6th word from the cross, "It is finished," sounds like a sigh of resignation, it's often been interpreted in Christian tradition as a word of triumph rather than resignation. There are, of course, 2 senses in which the word finished might be interpreted. The first being that it's over and done with. It's ended. The second has to do with being completed, as in the work being done, or the task finished. The 2 meanings set up a kind of glass half empty, half full conundrum. Does Jesus mean to say that his life is over and done with in a sigh of resignation? Or does he mean that the work he came to accomplish has been completed and that the victory over death and evil has been won? Well, our tradition, including St. Paul's theology, read this word in the second sense as an affirmation of God's work being completed on the cross. It's a work, according to St. Paul, that we cannot add to, for it's already finished. But it's also a work that we cannot undo, for it is already completed. If the 7th day was the day on which God rested from creation, pleased that everything was good, then Easter Day is the day on which God rests from his work of recreation, which is why we know Easter Day as the 8th day in our tradition. Recreation is the work of the cross. And when Jesus claimed that it was finished, he indicated that God's work of remaking all things had been done, and that we are now ready to enter the eternal Sabbath, the day of resurrection and new life. And that new life is signalled by the very last word from the cross, which has been called a word of reunion. This final word from the cross, Jesus says, "Father, into your hands I commend my spirit," giving his very life force back into the hands of God. Just as God is the source of our breath, having breathed life into all things at creation, so God is the destination of our breath as we yield it up to him at the end of our mortal existence. Our lives are but a brief breathing out of God's Spirit, a brief flickering of his holy fire. And that breath and fiery energy are always destined to return to their origin. Those who've sat with the dying will know this very precious moment when someone yields up their spirit. And it's a very holy moment. Life seems to come with our very first breath and end with our very last breath. But that's not the case. Our breaths are borrowed from the source of all breath, God himself. And when our time is ended, our breath is returned to its source that we might be reunited with him. And so as we journey with Christ to the cross, may we take these 7 words, words of forgiveness, salvation, relationship, forgiveness, distress, triumph and reunion with us. And let us pray that our journey may lead us closer to that reunion with God, in whom all things live and move and have their being.